and vice versa. You got too much calcium, then it sends a signal to deposit the calcium into your bones.
Yeah, look at the size of that thing.
You see the difference, guys?
No,
Yeah.
you don't tend to see it. If
Come
you
on,
get the
come
on.
sucker,
Yeah.
you might have
I'm gonna come sit in this chair somehow.
So think about the thyroid like saddlebags. Okay? The isthmus gonna come over the top here. I'm sorry, I'm gonna use this so it's easier. Isthmus comes over the top of the trachea here. Okay? And then this, you see this very thin, more echogenic line here to delineate it. And then just let your eyes follow that around here. This is transverse right lobe over the isthmus, transverse left lobe. See it? And we can compare echo texture from one side to the other when we do this picture. So this will be like a transverse midline. You'll do your color. I forget what the actual protocol in our little book says, but you're gonna do a color comparison.
You're on res, maybe go to general and it might give you better color flow. There you go.
Alright, so nice and even and get that color flowing in both of those lobes. Your isthmus picture. You're gonna measure AP. And so you're kind of fanning up and down the neck till you see where you can get that isthmus at its widest. And that's gonna be it right there. When you measure, you're measuring AP.
Outer to outer.
From here to here. Okay? That's her isthmus. That is not. That is not. You guys see it?
Yeah.
We're gonna come right here. No. See this line right here is what I'm looking at. Following that all the way across. See? Okay? That's where you're gonna measure. That's her isthmus. This is including her trachea. Okay? Color on the isthmus. Yeah, I'm making my box smaller. That's the only place I really want to concentrate. That color is right there on the isthmus. And I don't like the color on these, so I'm gonna just move on.
What are we looking for color-wise in these images on the isthmus and on the lobes?
Flow that's not hypervascular. So you want to prove there is flow. So you need to get some sort of color.
Plus,
Flash
if
in
you
there.
have an infection
Pushing too
or
hard.
some kind of an abnormality, you're gonna have
Pushing too
increased
hard.
blood flow.
Yes.
And
And
we
it-
got thyroid inferno. It's actually called thyroid inferno.
Yeah, it's like a storm.
Thyroid
You have a
storm.
storm, and which means you are very critical. You could die. So if you turn the color flow, it looks like
Like
you're
the
like, oh
kidney?
crap.
Yeah, it's
So
important
like, I'm
information
taking
to
this
the
sucker out
doctor.
of here. You ain't dying in that department. No, we running you out of here. Right? You ain't dying in mine. I mean, I already got people dying in your department anyway. You're gonna have patients dying on you.
Alright, so when we do the lobes, we do transverse and long images just like everything else. So when you're doing it here, and you can see both her lobes for that comparison picture, you're gonna get more off to the side of the lobe that you're looking at. So I'm gonna scoot kind of around on her thyroid, on her neck, to get, now I can see all of it. Y'all see the difference?
Yes.
If I'm here trying to do it, see my problem? I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna come all the way through that organ. So I'm gonna go up her neck till I completely get out of all of that thyroid tissue and then come back in. That's gonna be a superior. You want mid to be where it's at its widest and its tallest here. So I can see the isthmus connecting, so I know I'm in the mid portion of her thyroid. So that's gonna be a mid. So when we do a measurement, you're measuring the width. Do you do height and trans? I don't do height and trans.
I don't care as long
Okay.
as you do it.
And if you're gonna do the height and trans, you're gonna go here to the very bottom of that lobe there. So you can see where that tissue is and where it changes from here to here. So make sure you're nice and even mid and you get the widest point of it. And then you're gonna keep scanning down. So now we're getting more into inferior. And you're gonna go all the way through until you're completely out of all that tissue. See there? Okay? Now, same spot where you're at on her neck when you're in mid, come back up here, And we're gonna go long on it. See how much bigger hers is taking up that screen than Lisa's was? I think I'm zoomed in.
Like I said,
There
a
we
lot of
go.
times if it's really big, to get the correct and accurate measurement,
Tell 'em that you
pull
put
out
on
the
the
convex
widescreen.
probe, and you would have pulled it at the highest frequency on that convex probe. And then what you do is decrease the depth so the frame rate will be increased, cut down the sector to increase the frame rate, and then when you have a beautiful convex image with the correct measurement, and that includes also testicles, because they tend to be kind of bigger than the screen normally.
What?
So these are tricks that you do on the side. So a lot of times what happens when you're putting side by side, it goes depending relative to the
Alright,
sonographer.
well, have a good day.
So the sonographer could be a couple millimeters off, and maybe a couple of millimeters off could be what we call abnormal or normal, right?
So-
yeah.
For hers, since it's taken up so much of my screen, there's a widescreen option here. And then I'm just gonna zoom out a bit more. So see how it gave me a little bit more on my edges? Okay, so when we're gonna go in mid, do you guys see this tissue here? All of this is her thyroid right here, and these are the blood vessels going in through the thyroid. All through here. If you see a structure right down here, what might that be?
They haven't studied it
Um,
yet.
Parathyroid. I think that's yours right there. Yep, it's just like a little mini lobe hanging off the inferior part of the thyroid. So when you're doing long, we're doing lateral to medial just like anything else. So when you come all the way out and see that carotid right there, that's all the way lateral. You come in just a bit, that's your lateral thyroid. Keep moving towards
Your
the middle of
longest-
her neck,
Your
and that
longest
is
length.
the longest length. So do you see how if I have my probe tweaked like that and then like that, which one's longer?
That one.
That one.
Exactly. So make sure when you're doing this, you're making your adjustments so that I can see the true length of that whole lobe there, okay? So see how I go in and out here on the edge, and I can see where my longest edge is? Right there. Same thing with the bottom. I'm gonna go in and out here until I see the longest point of it. And that's gonna be how long her thyroid is.
So think, just like when we taught you how